The losing is glum. The melancholy mood around North Melbourne, it deepened yesterday. 30,000 plus at their home ground. It was a winless fixture. It was always going to be a bit nasty for the loser, but there was a rare opportunity and they were snuffed out by half-time.
Oh, Father, tell me, do we get what we deserve?
We've got a fair bit of work to do. You know, but as I said on Friday, know what the narrative's going to be.
And we're down we go.
It's looking grim at North Melbourne. Let's be honest. It's looking grim at North Melbourne.
It's hard to watch.
It's hard to see the progress.
So we're down.
It's soul destroying for the Kangaroo fans.
This is a team that's won 12 games now in their 5th season, and there is still hard to see any light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, way down we go.
I'm looking at Alastair Clarkson and I'm thinking, have you got the answers?
When you're a leader and you don't know where to turn to, you feel helpless and you feel hopeless, you need to look at your coaching staff and say, hey, we need you. You've got to help us. So I think the coaches can do more.
The blind faith probably stops at a point and we need to see more evidence.
The biggest concern for me is their senior players look defeated already.
It's a hard watch. It's a tough watch. The Kangaroos fans feel like they've been here for a decade.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. Something has to change.
We're down we go.
At the moment, it's just like a club that's just not making any progress.
We're down we go.
We've got some work to do, but I don't think it's any surprise to us. I don't think it's any surprise to the football competition.
These are slow matters in turning, especially when you're in the 5th year of a stretch, which is as grim as anything we've seen in the AFL era.
Yeah, it is. We've said it a couple of times. You don't know when this rebuild started and how many they've had. Clarkson was smart to put it on the agenda on Friday. I know the narrative. And the narrative's been really vicious, actually. The lack of effort. That's when you're a poor performing team, all you want to see is effort.
You've got to get the floor in.
Yeah, just give us effort. And that second quarter on the weekend was putrid. And every single one of those players and some of the younger players are thinking, I'm trying my best. And they are. But it's just breaking down everywhere. And all those boys are right. You need the leaders to stand up. Maybe the leadership's got some issues on the ground. But I think Clarkson's getting unfairly targeted. That's my gut clenched reaction. One game and it's right. Let's go for Clarkson. He missed half the season last year. He's coached 6 games this year. They've got a terrible list. They haven't got depth. They haven't got talent. They haven't got enough skill to compete. They're young. It's a tough game. We're just talking about the might of Carlton, the might of Collingwood. There's no might of North Melbourne. They haven't got it. It's not in their being at the moment. So they got snuffed out. They got snuffed out really quickly. So what do? They abandon their plans and say, oh, let's go and get all these players, or stick to their plan and still bring in young talent. This is going to be so challenging for Clarkson and Sonia Hood and the board to run this course, Jared. I've heard you say it before. You've got to run the course.
Yeah, and the course has been diverted a few times.
Yes, it has.
They've gone through 2 coaches and then Clarkson doesn't get last year for circumstances outside everybody's control. So he's back to really year 1 of trying to find ground zero. So their problem through 6 rounds is they've only had 1 credible half. That was the first half against Fremantle. Like you've got to see glimpses from time to time. Whether it's an emergence of style or whether it's the effort and the unity and the system of just trying to create something to keep you in games for a little bit longer. The problem with yesterday is, I know you say it's 1 game. It was against the other winless team.
Yeah, no, but
there are not many wins.
No, there might be none. There might be 0. But the pile-on after that 1 win, where was it last week? They were putrid the week before as well. So just because it was against Hawthorn. They've got to stay the course, Jared.
Yes, but it would want to be, I guess it would want to be the right course.
I agree. But what else do they do?
There's no evidence of it, is there?
Not at the moment.
So you're just looking for a little bit here and there to go, yes, this looks like the right course.
So what do people say? What are they suggesting? Get rid of Clarkson?
No.
They're not going to get rid of Clarkson.
No. But You got to see the little signposts.
Yeah, no, I know.
So are these the
I know that.
Is this the start of the Paul Roos days at Melbourne, where they would still get whacked in a really gruesome manner, but they were able to? Remember that the first marker was percentage. They put a focus on with just.
He put a focus on contested ball, right?
Yeah,
he really did put a big focus. I remember sitting here with you. We've been here for a lot of years now, mate. We've been sitting here and we were wondering if Carlton would ever compete again. Seriously, we were going, oh, Carlton, again. What are they doing? Rebuild, no, new coach, Malthouse come in. Oh, Bolton, oh. And then they got serious. And when I say got serious, they got it right. Not serious, they got it right. Sauce nailed that draft, and from there, things grew. And then Michael Voss comes in and Brian Cook comes in. Luke Sayers takes over from Mark Gudichet, who fixed up the finances. And suddenly Carlton had a team, a club. And from there, it's grown to where they are now, where they might be the premiership favourites. But what did that take? That 8 years?
It was a long and painful
road. It's 8 years,
yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy in this competition.
No, it's not. You've got to hold your community together through the toughest of moments.
It's looking grim at North Melbourne, let's be honest. I mean, this is a team that's won 12 games now in their 5th season, and there is still hard to see any light at the end of the tunnel. Like to lose to the second worst team in the competition by 45 points, their average losing margin this season now is well over 50 points a game. It's hard to see the progress. And the games like this today, Kingy, do not help the development of the kids. I don't think that helps. And the biggest concern for me is their senior players look defeated already. Their body language, the way that they're performing. Nick Larkey, I'll give him, he tries his backside off, and I'm sure they're trying, but they are just not living up to their end of the bargain, and I think they're feeling the weight. And I think they need help now from their coaches, because when you're a leader and you don't know where to turn to, you feel helpless and you feel hopeless, you need to look at your coaching staff and say, hey, we need you. You've got to help us. So I think the coaches can do more with how they help the playing group. But what makes it even sadder probably seeing today is watching what's happened to West Coast and seeing their turnaround and going, yeah, but they've got some star power with their senior players, and North Melbourne at the moment don't even have that to drag them out of it. So it's just going to be a long struggle for North Melbourne this year, and I just feel for what it's going to do for everyone at that football club. I'm not as invested as Kingy, but at the moment, it's just like a club that's just not making any progress.
I'm just a fan. I have no other role to play as such, and I'm not here to defend them. I don't. You've got to call it as we see it. But for the first time in a long time, I'm looking at Alastair Clarkson and I'm thinking, have you got the answers? Have you actually got the information that these guys on field desperately need? Because I watched the game with Joe today. It's hard to watch. It's soul destroying for the Kangaroo fans who are watching this year after year. And you know, when Alastair signs, you have this beacon of light. Oh, we'll be okay. And the more and more you watch, you start to think, what's new? What's changed? You know, personnel's changed, systems changed, but results are still the same. And the easy answer is to say, oh, well, we did this back in 04, 05, 06 and got to premierships. But, gee, I don't know if it was ever this dark in those days at Hawthorn. So I think the blind faith probably stops at a point, and we need to see more evidence.
Before we hear from Clarko, just a question about the older players. Do North, and we probably thought they were past this, but do they almost have to go and pay a bit overs to get one or two experienced players? They aren't at the absolute end, probably not Luke Hodge, but a little bit younger than that. But just to provide that framework.
Who do you get?
Well, I don't know, but someone who you think, who you trust in their character, and they can help bring these kids along for a couple of more years, if it is going to take a bit longer than we thought.
I think so, because I'm watching these leaders and I'm worrying for them. Like, what's happened to Luke McDonald, the skipper? Like, what's happened to Jai Simpkin? You know, Cam Zurhaar and Aidan Corr and Darcy Tucker. They're not getting it done, and I don't know how much they're able to provide these younger players. So maybe they do need to go get some experience. Maybe even short term, they have to play Hugh Greenwood and Liam Shields just for a couple of weeks to give them a chop out and give some direction. And we'll show some vision in a minute. They're all at sea. So I'm sure they're trying, and I know that they're probably trying too hard. But at the moment, the team just play with it's sort of like a lack of care. Care with what they do with ball in hand, care the way they defend. It's just all at sea, and it's hard to see where the improvement's going to come from and how they're going to get it.
All right, well, let's see and hear the response from Alastair Clarkson as he lamented the mistakes but tried to keep a perspective on the result.
Irrespective of the result today, we knew where we're at as a footy club, and it's going to take a lot of hard work to get ourselves back up the ladder. I know what the narrative's going to be, you know, but knew that 18 months ago, 2 years ago, when we took on the job, we needed to change the culture and environment of our footy club and invest in youth. It's the only way that we can go, you know, and that's what we've done. We don't back away from that.
So that's Clarko's response. What did you see out there?
Well, you see a confusion is one thing you see down back, and then you see an overinvestment in areas that you know should be covered by one player that three end up flying for, and this is what it looks like. And Joey's right. It sometimes can be players trying too much, and then there's things like this. I mean, it's hard to understand what Biggie's thinking here. Like, you're defending. Like, where's he going? What's he attacking here? So he's not really defending his man. He's not really flying. He's not really tackling. You know, it's very limp. There's not a lot of energy in anything there. And, you know, I know he's only a young player, but it sort of permeates through the group a little bit. Here's Nick Larky, and we love Nick. I think he's been a beauty, but he falls asleep here and allows the guy that was standing right next to him in Weddle to come in and kick a goal. And they're little things that eat away at the confidence of the group. Here we go again. Now we're in trouble against a team that we should be beating, or not beating, but competing with. There's, 6 or 7 players versus 2 or 3. And they're just running around, all trying to tackle, all trying to spoil, all trying to... There's no cohesion.
A lot of goalkeeping, a lot of sort of not really manning up, but not really zoning and sort of helping each other, and, you know, 4 guys flying and no one at ground level. And this went on and on. They're just little things, but these little things all add up. Like, you know, what sort of kicks that coming out of you know, deep in your defensive 50? And like, this happened all game. And it's hard because it's not any one player. It's not any one part of the ground. But when it's continual little things, as a player, you're out on the field and you're like, well, where do we start? Where can we start to try and get it back on track? And it just falls completely apart. That's why I think these leaders need some more support from the coaching group. Maybe strip it right back to basics to make it much easier for them to be able to identify where it's going wrong. Because at the moment, it's everywhere, and it's hard to pinpoint one facet of their game.
And I give credit to Hawthorn because they put them into this spin.
Yep.
And it was guys like, Ginnivan was fantastic today. You can't stop watching him. Newcomb was back to
Mid's got back
his
to work.
best. And Nash was, he has his moments, but he was very good. And Dylan Moore and those guys. So credit to Hawthorn. We're not just talking about North Melbourne because they were awesome. I love what they were able to do and show their wares. But there's just one passage of play we want to talk about. And this is more to do with organisation. Nothing to do with talent. Nothing really even to do with the system. So you've got Scott on Chol there. Now, that should be big in you, and he gets caught on the wing, rolling back. So he stays, for some reason, he rolls to the wing and picks up Dylan Moore, where that should be a smaller type player. And in the end, Scott hands over to McKercher. I mean, that's an horrific matchup. So if you're Aidan Corey in behind that, what are you seeing? If you're a leader like Scott is, why are you giving the youngest member of the team, he's probably got 25 kilo on him? It was never going to be the correct matchup at any stage. They're little things like that just permeate through the group, and they destroy the confidence of the young kids. So you don't get the best out of McKercher because he's within himself. I've been outmarked again. Yeah. Let the boys down. They're just little things, but they have massive ramifications, and it makes the whole thing look listless. So I don't know. It's a hard watch. It's a tough watch. The Kangaroos fans feel like they've been here for a decade.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. Something has to change.
Hard for us to sit and watch it with him, Joey.
Well, it is.
It wasn't too bad.
It is so. For any footy fan to watch North Melbourne the way they're going.